What's up, everyone? This is Soul, and we're back for another episode of Leak Season. We took a little bit of a break because I wanted to let people sort of marinate and kind of think over some of the new information that we had learned from some leaked achievement stuff. And, we're starting to see that stuff come to life. Part of that achievement had, part of that list included some Warcraft Rumble information, and that has come to light. So that is like, if people weren't already convinced, it's extremely real. So there are certain things that are coming. Also, the BlizzCon collection that has also come out, and that's also linked to some achievement stuff that we have seen. But while I took this week off, there were two leaks that had come out that gained a good bit. That gained a good bit of buzz, and I thought they were super fake, and they have since come out to be revealed as fake. But hey, you know what? The whole fun of it is to like talk smack about them anyway. So we're gonna look at these things first. Like the video, subscribe, all that stuff. Boom. So this thing took off for a little bit. It is the claim that there's going to be a Warcraft Chronicles show, and I had come out to say that this is a pretty good one. I like the presentation of how this person created this thing. That's how I look at these things, by the way. They're super fake, but I look at, how are they presented? How are they shown off? Now one thing, as convincing as some of this looks, I mean, it's basic assets and all that stuff. One of the things that make me think, okay, super fake is you got to think about the person behind the camera here. Why the hell did they take a picture of just this? Who does that? Hey, dude, I have an opportunity to get a screenshot of like this new thing. I'm gonna get the top right hand corner of the screen. Brilliant. Because that's gonna be what convinces people. No, my first thought is this is this Medivh's back or is it his front? Because you can see like this pauldron, you can see the feathers and all that stuff. And so this at the very least it communicated a lot because it shows Medivh. It gives a hint of the animation style, that it's not going to be like a live action thing, it's going to be an animated thing. It says a lot, it says a little, and by that merit, I think it's a great leak. It didn't take a whole lot of effort by this person at all to set something like this up. No AI was needed, none of that stuff. Hella fake, because again, who takes a picture of just that on their camera? You got to be like, if you're taking a picture of this, you really got to think about this. You're going to be standing or sitting at a certain distance away, and you're zooming in on like just a certain part. What are you trying to hide? Oh, sorry, I don't want to see like, I don't want to accidentally get like someone's head, because if I see someone's head, then they're going to like determine the positioning and all that stuff, and then they'll find out it was me or some stupid shit like that. No, that's dumb. Sorry. It's a nice thought to it's a thought to have, but ultimately you only take a shot like this, it's super fake. And it turns out it was. It was revealed in other places, but we have like the shot where this came from. This was fan art. This is a piece of fan art that had come from a certain person. I don't know who it was. Vlad Harabegiu. Yeah, so this person just made the art, and then someone decided, hey, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put like something on it. I don't know if that's the exact shot. It doesn't seem like the exact shot, because you see like, well, maybe it is. Like you see that kind of trim there. You see the arch of the pauldrons. Yeah, so it might just be like that tiny little corner there. They put the logo on it, and like that's it. Just for just to tease people or whatever. Sorry, that's jumping ahead. So fake, but still good. I still thought it was. I still thought it was pretty good. And the kind, and if anything, the magic of leak season, it has us thinking up other ideas. Like, oh, that would be cool if there was a Warcraft animated series, because this style, this is convincing. This is something, yeah. I think this is like a convincing style that could turn out to be pretty cool if they wanted to go that route. And who knows? Who knows what they're going to announce? Mike Ibarra had claimed that they're going to make some really, really big announcements for Warcraft. It's going to be huge. We now have Chris Metzen at the helm, who's in charge of elevating the franchise and bringing out new things. So we might see new mediums, books, movies, animated stuff, more swag, whatever. But of course, story-wise, we may see some new stuff. But this would be cool. This would be a cool revisit to old stuff. Let's move on to Void Storm. Let me pull up the original leaks. There we go. So here's one of the pictures. People were really into this one too. Oh my god, look at it. It has such a cool, unique art, and like there was some other art that was associated with it too. So people saw this like, oh my god, it's like this other rendition of like N'Zoth or something. It looks so good. It looks so real. Like, it's got like the bars and all that stuff. Some people had pointed out that, hey, you know what? The X doesn't even align with the screen correctly, and I don't think that's. I wasn't sure about that because this picture is being taken at an angle too, so that would kind of distort the perspective. So I wasn't ready to really talk about that. But my take was more the angle of how these screenshots were taken. The problem that I have with these screenshots is, again, the angle that these are coming from. I'll go ahead and stick to this because there were like a couple of them. The problem is that if you wanted to take these sorts of pictures, one, you're going to be like kind of up front. Your camera's going to be tilted in a certain way to kind of be like, oh, I'm trying to hide the camera. I'm trying to avoid being caught. But the way that it was done, if you actually like sit at your desk and try to take these screenshots, you're kind of like moving your camera like down here to like one corner, and then you're moving it to another side. It's like in another corner, and that's just dumb. Some folks have pushed back to say, oh well, maybe it's like a big theater and this is like a special screening or whatever. If it was a special screening, I kind of doubt that they would have like big ass X's and all that shit on top of it to like to try to make it seem official, like you're like, oh, you're not supposed to see it. They would have watermarks or something else. They wouldn't have like big ass X's. And the other thing too is that, okay, cool, if it is something that's being shown in a big theater, then how are you gonna have like someone walking from one side of the theater to another taking shots, getting screenshots when they're obviously being seen doing it? It's hella dumb. So after a couple of days of that, the leaker had come out to reveal, oh no, these are fake. I made these. So here's the original shot, and it's cool. I think it's pretty. It'd be really neat as an animated shot because you see like Azeroth is kind of on fire back there, and there's like this weird sort of fog on top of it. It's probably made by AI, but it looks neat as sort of a concept thing. That's not Azeroth, it's America. Really? Is that what it is? Oh yeah, you're right. That looks like what, Greenland, Iceland, or whatever. And then there's Europe, I think. Or is that it? So yeah, that maybe that is Earth. And then there's these and then there are these other shots here. So here's the I guess N'Zoth shots in its high res glory. Here's I guess Cthulhu with a very textured eye. That's gross. And very cool too. But hella gross. And I don't know what this is supposed to be, like Il'gynoth or something, but then he's not an old god. He's just like whatever. But I don't know who that's supposed to be. And then I don't know. Is this oriented the right way? Is this right side up? No, this should be upside down because you see those little things that are falling. They should be falling in that direction. So this is just like upside down. So turned out to be fake. Oh well. But the whole fun of leak season, it's to get people thinking and wondering, but also to kind of like pull it back and be like, yeah, it's fake. It's fake. All right, so let's take a look at this one's from 10.8 by Jaybird6867, 11.0 scene double leak. Oh god, don't tell me this is like a script. Those are the worst. I Jaybird 6867 and one of the dubbers of one of the companies subtracted by Blizzard. In the images, I have deleted my employee number and I have distorted them because they have internal watermarks to identify us. Nice, nice way to preempt. Here's why they look like shit. This week they sent us the scripts and text that we have to do each one of the different versions, once per language of the cinematics of this BlizzCon. I don't know anything about the features or things about the expansion will bring, not even its name. The part of the logo doesn't reach the dubbing companies because it doesn't have a voice before showing the cinematics cut. The only thing I can talk about is the text that have been written for us, and some of them I can't specify which are mine because I would identify myself. The texts are not in order or have relation with the scenes and images. Male voice. I tried to warn of what lay beyond the treacherous waves, and you still defied me. Female voice, semi shouting. Your face does not sound familiar, stranger. Be careful with your words. Male voice. You brought fears to our shores that not even our ancestors had forgotten. Why? And he has pictures. So, oh wow. Okay, so these are definitely blurred the fuck out. Okay. We've got image one of mountain, bay, cave looking thing, sun. This reminds me very slightly of the Warlord cinematic. In like but not really, because this could be like anything. Okay, next image is looks like a dragon dude flying. This looks like it's either super cloudy or that's a the interior of a cave or something like that. So like something that's overhead. Next we have a dwarf. It's a cool dwarf, but then that dwarf has a very small nose. And you think of the original dwarf that from Vanilla WoW. This one looks way different. Now this one kind of sucks. These images kind of suck because it's so obviously AI generated, and it's crazy what sorts of AI generated stuff you can see these days. Like there's a thread on MMO Champion where it's kind of like an AI appreciation thread. It's like, hey, we're not here to hate on it. Let's just think of cool stuff and put it in here for funsies, right? And there's some amazing art that gets thrown on there. It sucks that it's just AI generated. It doesn't quite have that personality, but it just looks really good. But as for this leak, womp womp. No, this says way too little. If you have the scripts and you're trying to if you're trying to leak and also not get caught, there's like a certain risk that you're already taking. There's a certain lack of moral of moral compass there. So if you're gonna leak, you might as well just go all the way and spill whatever you've got. Um, because this, you know, if you were a real leaker and you leak this isn't very exciting. This doesn't draw out any feeling from me. And the script sounds kind of lame too. I tried to warn of what lay beyond the treacherous waves. I mean, it's the overdoneness of the script that's very typical WoW. But I think that some of the scripting that we've seen recently in Dragonflight is leaning away from over dramatic one liners and more conversational stuff. But this is kind of the old style. Oh well, this one kind of sucked. Moving on. All right, moving on to Remnants of the Black Empire. Okay, this is very short. By Jalham. So since they're not banned yet, well, this is fake anyway. So it's underground. There's Akir. There's the Sword of Sargeras and a tunnel. There's dark trolls, an earthen city, and a rune master class. Well, credit for them to not give me a lot to resist or push back from. The popularity of a possible underground expansion, I think that got spoiled by Zerlet Cavern. Now the thing is, I like Zerlet Cavern. I think the presentation of it was pretty good. It was a big zone. it is very expansive. It has a roof, but it's not so low of a roof that it feels all that constricting. Unless you're just trying to like fly at like max altitude on the regular, or you're trying to go from one side of the zone to the other without having to use skyward ascent very much. Like if you're trying to go from one end to the other, like you gotta be a little bit more engaged, and I think that's what kind of turns people off. But the zone itself, it didn't have a whole lot of activity in there. It was just like here's the rares, here's the events, have at it. But without those pieces really meshing together, it didn't turn out to be like as cool of an experience as it could have. Would a full-on expansion underground fix it? I'm sure it would address a whole lot of the problems, but I think there's going to be like that initial resistance from folks as soon as they even hear underground expansion. They're immediately going to think of Zerlite Caverns and think of the worst parts of it, and that's not going to work out. As for a Rune Master class, we already got one. We got Death Knights, man. We got Death Knights. We got runes. Let them have them. Don't take stuff away. The Sword of Sargeras, though, I think this would be a cool idea. Like I had some fake theory, super fake. I just made it up on the fly. I was like, hey, you know, it'd be cool, guys. You know, it'd be cool. It'd be really cool if the area around Silithus, you know, while they're trying to heal the sword or whatever, there's like some sort of structural collapse, and Silithus itself just collapses. It becomes like this really big underground kind of area where the sword is like, you know, the sword is in the middle, so everything is around it, but it reveals like all this. It reveals like the Akir tunnel network. You see like all these giant gears and structures that are left by the Titans, because you know Azeroth is just kind of like hobbled together with all this Titan technology, and that'd be kind of cool as at least like one zone, you know, as a rebuilt thing. It'd be very cool. But as a full-on expansion, got a ways to go. All right, moving on. Hopefully something that is recent. Okay, moving on to Warcraft Echoes of Eternity by Leak Bro. Hey, Leak Bro. All right, so here comes a new chapter in World of Warcraft with patch 11.0 and the new expansion. This is going to be a huge expansion, unlike any other seen before. That's what all of them are. Right? That's what all of them are. The sheer amount of work put into this mind-blowingly huge. The early development started mid-BFA, and now 2 full teams, including the one joined Blizzard around Shadowlands, are working on this new expansion alone. Graphical update, asset upgrade, new assets, spell reworks, and spell visual updates, clothing updates with better details. Regular mobs are improved visually and combat-wise to give more challenge and fun. That's specific. Some of the old enemies are not fully gone, rather upgraded. Think of tigers in Stranglethorn Valley with better animation and a bleed spell. You're going to be mind blown by the atmosphere of Stranglethorn Vale BT dub. Monsoon like rain is amazing. Okay, this is the first thing that got me excited, to have like really strong weather effects. I'd love to see weather effects that affect gameplay in small ways, nothing too huge. Like I don't want to see, hey, when the weather's like this at certain times of the day, something cool happens and you can get a rare thing, or you can collect a rare pet, or capture one, or something like that. That I think would piss a lot of people off, because WoW, unlike most other MMOs, they run off a real-time day and night cycle. So people who play at night, they always play at night. People who play during the day, they always play during the day. And so having something like that is potentially like, you know, turns people away because, oh, it doesn't apply to them. Anyway, sorry. The expansion is also made for new and returning players who haven't played in years, rather than just current players. Okay, this dude's clearly coming from like a certain coming from a certain viewpoint. This game is definitely trying to reach out for new and returning players all the time, through catch-ups, through ways to, you know, get players connected with other players via like syncing and queuing up and stuff. So Yeah, if this guy is real and it's not, you've got a very narrow perspective. The main goal is to let the player experience the old world again as new, just like the people who played vanilla. Resurrect Azeroth as players don't play on the old content maps like post Cataclysm, Azeroth, or Outland anymore. Even if they level up, they never visit it anymore. The goal is to make the world alive again, slow the gameplay down a bit, and let the players immerse themselves. People who level mostly use dungeons, and everything is scattered story-wise. Fast travel, teleport, etc. Everyone is running. This is going to be changed. The revamps include the dungeons to accommodate to the story. You'll see a really good revamped Dead Mines and Wailing Caverns with new routes, some old, and new bosses. The upgraded dungeons will require you to play as a team. The upgraded dungeons will require you to play as a team. What? You gotta do dungeons with other people? No way! And each group of encounters can be fought differently. Good combat is also tactical, not just pulling everything together and using AoE. Some fights are going to be like that, though. The uniqueness of each class should come out similarly to Classic Era. Classic Van, baby. The goal here is to utilize all of your spells. Mage using Sheep, Rogue using Sap, coming back along with new CC and combat spells. Each character should give you their uniqueness to the party. It really should feel like a social and group. Dude, even in Classic, people don't do this anymore. You know what they do in Classic? They'd be like, hey, Mage, come on, here's some gold. Bloop. Go. Go AoE, kite everything, get all the aggro while we whittle away at stuff and try not to mess with your group. That's classic WoW these days in a nutshell. Not everyone, obviously, but this dude's clearly got the rose-colored glasses on. Some quality of life features are removed to slow down the game, like traveling, portal time, balance, and etc. Okay, hub quests are back because apparently they left. To make towns and inns like Crossroads and Gadgets and Livid and meaningful again, and the town should be a place again where players rest to recover for the next battle, that rather than a going through place. That's what Crossroads is, buddy. Yeah, people didn't go there to like rest and yeah, this dude's got the nostalgia trip. And notice that he's only talking about classic stuff. Is this? Yeah, it's supposed to be 11.0, but he's talking like this is supposed to be like a classic revamp or something. Along with old zones, there are of course new zones. One of them is a conflict between a group of factions and a new war effort like gameplay with resources and territorial contest. Some PvE and PvP elements with rewards, even to the losing team, even though not as good. Revitalization of world PvP, also like old Alterac Valley with siege elements on timer. Revitalization of world PvP, but like a battleground. New class, a Chronomancer, okay, a tank, DPS, and healer. The art of time, like a magician. Speed up, slow down, or even rewind time in battles, affecting both themselves and their enemies. Rewind time. I mean, you know, we see alter time from mages, which alters their state. But to rewind time for like what, everyone, mobs and stuff, that would be kind of weird, but kind of cool. I do like the idea of a tank, though. Make sure you mitigate damage like it didn't happen to you. Speed up your damage through buffs or recover past things. Oh wait, 2 new classes? A Chronomancer and a Tinker. Yeah, this ain't happening. Tank, DPS, and heal. The art of machinery. Use your bodysuit like a mech. Use your turrets as gadgets to DPS, and dispensers and drones to heal and DPS. I would love to have not exactly shaman gameplay, but something that's a bit more centered around like laying down turrets and stuff. Like to me, at least when it comes to action RPGs, I love that concept of throwing down turrets, let the enemy come to you, wow, wow, wow. In an MMO, tougher, not so much. In an MMO, especially when you're encountering other players, they ignore the turrets, they go straight for your ass. With the healing of Azeroth, Some old enemies and elements are also get renewed energy and see an opportunity to refuel their power. We get to know more about Anduin and Sylvanas, Hala, Jaina and Thrall, ooh, double Hala, and Borval and the Lich King. Wow, so he's shipping. He's not, but I'm just going to pretend that he is. He's talking Anduin and Sylvanas, yeah, and Jaina and Thrall, of course, and then Bolvar and the Lich King. Wait, so you mean Bolvar and Arthas, right? Who's super dead, super duper dead. But okay. New enemies upon us, stronger and darker than before. They whisper in eerie tone behind the dark, surrounded by chaotic energy. Also dwarfs. Also dwarfs, because we need more. Yeah. What can I say? I'm clearly someone who is more attached to the old style of WoW than the new one. Let's move on. From 10.5 from Avathos. This is not another expansion leak. This is the expansion leak. World of Warcraft, The Last Guardian. At long last, the timeline of retail World of Warcraft comes crashing down upon us. The last great war of our time will be fatal for all of Azeroth as we know it. The Titans will pull the emergency brake for a world soul reset. Azeroth is overcooked, worn out, and completely shattered. The last boss will be Medivh, who has the power to complete the cycle. The Sword of Sargeras is also of interest in this process. Thrall will be the guiding hero. After the expansion ends, we will see a WoW 2, basically a new version of the classic client. We go back to Azeroth in the timeline between Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3. Oh, so this is a straight reboot. Starting from the classic era client, the focus will be on Azeroth for a long while. Experience what it's like to again become plain adventurers in a savage, reckless, and raw Azeroth where chaos reigns. The difference between then and now is that this savage, reckless, and raw Azeroth is going to be empty because no one's going to want to fucking play this. Think of this, dude. This is an old argument. Hey, guys, we need a World of Warcraft 2. We need to reset everything. All the stuff that we have, just wipe it all out. Really? You're going to take out all... You're going to take our... Some folks find that the best solution for WoW is to throw everything away and then just start a new one. That's basically starting a brand new game and abandoning all of your previous history. Now, it's fine if you're like, hey, dude, I'm worn out with WoW, not really feeling it. Hey, this other new game, this thing is going to take off. I'm going to jump into this one. It's a new experience, blah, blah, blah. This dude's trying to just put a blanket on top of the likes of like Dragonflight or whatever and be like, let's just try it again. Let's see if we can get it right this time. Guess what? It won't. Because one big thing about trying to go back to the way things were is you can't undo your knowledge. You can't just be stupid again, unless the game is such a wild departure from the previous one that it's going to feel like new. Like if you think of your own personal experiences, if you've tried out other MMOs, some of your first instincts are going to be like, how do I make this play and feel like WoW? You're going to change your button mapping. You're looking for some familiarity there. And so something like this, when the unfamiliarity is intended and it's purposeful and it's meant to drive you away from what you've known, it's like the ultimate retcon. And I thought people don't like retcons. I thought people don't like to see change just because. This is like the ultimate arbitrary manufactured change that ultimately is going to turn off more than half of the people here. You're going to have people diving in at least to check things out, and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to go back to the old thing because that's what I'm familiar with and that's what I prefer to do. We already have a calling for an AU WoW. Some people call it Classic Plus. I think it's called, I prefer to call it AU WoW, Alternate Universe WoW, because that's what it is. And then we have other folks that are like, hey, let's just take the current clients and just crush it, smash it, throw it away, and then have a brand new game on top of that. But let's read on. The game development and business vision: quality over quantity. Don't make more stuff, make better stuff. Wow. I think this person, I think, is entirely fueled off, like, dude, based on all the stuff that I saw from my favorite YouTuber, here is my vision of the game. Easy to learn, hard to master, complexity to a certain extent, target audience extent. Accessibility is higher on the scale for an MMORPG that focuses on the volume. No microtransactions. Subscription is $17 a month. So more expensive than Netflix, Game Pass, and Spotify, but take into consideration lower volume, requiring higher net profit, no WoW token, and optional seasonal play, $15 per season, so 2 times a year. No microtransactions, seasonal play. No microtransactions, and on the same line, higher sub fee. No WoW token, but you got a thing. Oh god, there's more. There's more. All right, let's dive in, guys. Original 9 classes will be in the game, but most have had a talent spec removed and melted together with the remaining 2 specs. Our data shows that these specs are barely played and don't add anything to the game. Holy shit. And we believe we can make the game more fun without these specs. This is super troll, man. Only hybrid classes keep 3 specs. The most important skills and class defining talents will stay with your class. So the spec prune, will end up giving you more possibilities and a fun and an easier to understand format. So Warrior, Fury is gone. Survival is gone. Arcane is gone. Demo is gone. Assassination and Discipline is gone. Really, our data, as in my perception, my own rose tinted glasses, says that no one plays Demo. People don't play Demo. This guy does not do much. Fury? Yeah, okay, sure, buddy. If I was the czar of WoW, here's how I would make it. Just gut everything. Not only are they taking out like the original, or not the original, like the expansion classes. Not only is he like destroying the world and taking out all the previous expansion content. Let's take out 1, 2, 3. Let's take out 6 of the specs. Raids will be 15 people max. I thought this was a nostalgia trip. Raids will be 15-man max. You will need one. Wait. You will need one of each class to be able to enter the raid. You will need one of each class to be able to enter the raid. Holy crap. There's only 1 difficulty, so it'll be easier to form a raid. So a bigger player. Okay, this dude's ignorant as fuck. Holy cow. So there's this obvious misconception that, hey, if there's only 1 raid difficulty, then everyone is going to raid in that difficulty. The reality, though, is that if you have this middle of the ground raid, you're going to have highly skilled players smash it and be like, oh, I guess we're done. And then that's it. And then you'll have, lesser skilled players be like, oh, raiding with coordination and stuff, I'm not going to do it. The whole idea of multiple difficulties is that it creates these paths for other players to experience the raid or dungeon or whatever in their desired difficulty. Hey, I want to play at this level. I want to use these add-ons. I want to play with these kinds of people, blah, blah, blah. When you restrict that, all that does is limit the number of players who are playing the thing. It does challenge people to be like, hey, you know what? You want to get good, or you want to play this stuff, you got to get good. It does offer that challenge, but you got to see beyond that. And this person is clearly not seeing beyond that. Let me finish these sections before I get back to commenting, because I'm talking way too much shit. There will be extra rewards if you succeed to clear in an X amount of time. So it's like a Mythic plus 2. A full party for dungeons will be 6 people now, requiring more DPS players to fill the spots to balance the tank healer DPS roles and group speed. This is the first not so bad idea, being able to bring in like an additional person because of queue times and things like that. But I think that's mostly with regards to queues and pugs. for like friends and family and stuff, I think that presents like a bit more of a challenge because now they're like, oh, okay, now we need another person. Oh boy. Dungeons will scale for a maximum of 10 levels, giving bigger player pools to do them while leveling. Okay, that doesn't make any sense because right now the dungeon queues are way more than 10 levels. So this does the exact opposite of what this dude is trying to suggest. No looking for a raid for dungeons. There is a queue, so no LFR because duh, there's only one difficulty. But there is an LFG sort of system. Itemization, progression, and stats are comparable to Classic and TVC. Nostalgia trip, cool. Items will have value, and you will remember their names. Yeah, because there's only one raid, and then like a couple dungeons, and that's it. That's all it is. I get the sentiment. It's been a long time since I've really remembered the names of gear because I replace gear pretty regularly. But that's kind of what you get. If you're gonna, there are just multiple ways to get items. There are multiple swords and shields and whatever that you can get in a given tier slash season these days. What this suggests is raid or die, basically. That's the other way to see this sort of itemization by limiting these sources to like a few things and that's it. PvP will be back and focused on as a great source of replayability. It's going to be the only source of replayability at this rate. Having fewer specs and classes will be easier to balance and also more fun for players and spectators to understand. Also easy to learn yet hard to master game designing vision. That's like the most nothing statement without backing it up. A MOBA type battleground with the Ashara Zone theme will be released. This type of battleground will be the future focus. Your character starts this battleground with basic white items and will get upgrades per battleground depending on the choices you make. So you're gonna have like a 45-minute, a 30 to 45-minute match. Ugh, brutal. Rated battlegrounds, but no arena at this time. No arena? That's nuts. No PvP talents were balanced simplicity is king for PvP. Actually, I think that just totally having different abilities that are just PvP focused. I think that's the better route to go, but whatever. Seasons. Seasonal play will be fun and experimental content. To play on a seasonal realm, it costs $15 per season. There's no battle pass, just content the customer can choose to participate in or skip to continue on a regular realm. 2 seasons per year. Better to have 2 good seasons than five boring ones. Again, quality over quantity. What the fuck does that mean? Sorry, I'm getting tilted at this point. 2 seasons per year. Better to have 2 good seasons than 5 boring ones. What are you talking about? We already get 2 seasons per year. We're only gonna start at season 3 in just like a month and some change. If we actually did get 2 seasons, he's actually asking for longer seasons. Do we want that? Maybe, maybe not. Fun themes per season, like full-on pirate raids, harpy, hyper nesting, hardcore season, Naga flood season. But for example, more treasure. So when he's talking this season stuff, he's talking more like themes that are similar to Diablo 4 and Overwatch. So like very thematic seasons that really don't have anything to do with the lore. And I think that's kind of an important distinction between, well, I guess Overwatch and some other games and WoW is that, WoW still tries to introduce like a forward feeling story as they go from patch to patch, season to season. So going random like this doesn't sound right. Professions will keep skill level but are deactivated until you have attuned yourself for the seasonal raid. I don't know what that means at all. When you enter your character into the seasonal realm, all materials will not okay, this seasonal realm thing sounds hella lame. This way no developer time is wasted to create new ores and spawns that have the same function. Only the crafting professions will get a seasonal tab only active for that season. I love how, he's like talking, he's talking his shit and talking about what he doesn't like, but also wants wants to protect the developers from having to do work. This way, no developer time is wasted. I mean, I kind of say the same thing where I talk about, I make suggestions for features that are like easy to implement, but it's more like, hey, it's easy to do it. There will be a fresh realm for people who want a completely fresh experience, and an advanced realm where people can copy their main character too. Of course, you can also start a fresh character. Okay, this dude totally lost me when he started talking seasons. This is the wackest thing ever. From Insider Bob. Yay. World of Warcraft Fall of the Titans. This is recent. Good. During the Dragonflight pre-patch, the red glow in the sky vanishes. The moon has turned black. Night Elf NPCs state that they feel Elune is in pain. The weather on Azeroth is erratic with heavy downpours, blizzards, earthquakes, you name it. As a player, you're asked to investigate the cause of all the havoc occurring. I should also mention that you can no longer see stars in the sky. The cinematic begins with the Titans from previous expansions fighting with Sargeras. One by one, we see the Titans fall with Sargeras standing over their dead bodies. The cinematic ends with Sargeras infusing Illidan with... Oh, so it's not a flashback. Okay. The Titans from... One by one, we see the Titans fall. The cinematic ends with Sargeras infusing Illidan with greater power and is told to recruit anyone that will follow as the Great War has begun, stated by Sargeras. The question during all of this is why Illidan is so willing to... I have more questions. I have more than just one question. Apparently, the items data mined, Fell Bikes and Dreadlord armor, have something to do with the pre-patch event and will either be offered as a reward or a trading post item prior to the expansion. This is a good one. This is a good line. Because at least right now, we haven't discovered any sort of connection between those cool-looking Fell Bikes and the Dreadlord Transmog, which the wings are just ridiculous looking. But this is the first leak that I've seen that tries to tie those things in. That hey, this might be a demonic expansion that we might be getting into next. So, well done. Piqued my curiosity there. There will definitely be Void involvement, but also expect to see Dreadlords as well. Apparently, Iridikron has allied himself with anyone that will kill Titans and Titan constructs. So, just anyone he can ally with. Expect to run multiple dungeons or raids where we either try to help the Titans or attack them. Oh. As a player, we are now involved in a fight with no clear enemy as the Titan forces have begun to attack anyone and any race they perceive as a threat, such as orcs, previously aligned with Sargeras. This basically creates chaos among the factions as all races are confused as to what's going on and why their gods are attacking each other or abandoning them completely. That one's a bit harder to swallow. But Valor tokens have returned as the main currency. Oh, here we go. Blizzard has decided to simplify item acquisition in the game and reduce currency bloat. You know what's really going to happen, though? If they bring Valor tokens back, they're still going to have crests, but they're going to rename... Yeah, they're just going to rename Flight Stones into Valor tokens. I don't know about you. I mean, I understand how people want like a more simplistic style of gearing up and upgrading and things like that. But that's old talk, man. Like that worked in a world where there was only like one raid difficulty and there was only heroic dungeons and like that was it. We've moved on from that, dude. Sorry, guys, but there are like as far as a very hardcore, a very like a character who's a person who's really in it, who's like, hey, I run 20s on the regular or whatnot. Those people, the reality is that they don't see whelplings, drakes, worms. They only see aspects. So for them, there is only one currency. And and the flight stones on top of that to help support it. But like that's kind of it. Flight stones, the way that I see it, is something that asks you, hey, are you playing the game like regularly? Are you diversifying a little bit? Because Flight Stones is your, hey, I diversify a little bit, I'm getting this other currency. You're getting crest, it's because you're doing very specific content, specific content in the game. That's what it is. So it's not about a currency thing. It's less currency and more about you're sort of controlling the activities that you do and rewarding you for it. This is a more nuanced conversation than what some people want to admit. New race, you get red fell orcs for the horde with spikes. Oh, just one new race. Okay. Players can now choose to play on a faction outside of their respective alliance or horde while still remaining attached for gameplay purposes. How does that make sense? Players can now choose to play on a faction outside of their respective horde while still remaining attached for gameplay purposes. So, I mean, that's kind of how it is now, right? Like Legion, we played as a third faction, an unaligned neutral faction that was set up with the class orders and things like that. So this is almost literally nothing. This new faction will generally be a lot darker than the other two, allowing you to play as Dreadlords and Fell Orcs. Oh, okay, so they're trying to specify. You can play as Dreadlords, Fell Orcs, Undead Sylvanas Loyalists, and the long-awaited Ogres. You had me at Dreadlords, yo. Ogres, okay, yeah. Dreadlords. I could play as a Dreadlord. That's fascinating. Given the nature of the chaotic conflict, it'll allow raids to be tailored to fight, quote, evil factions. Okay. The new zones have been kept a secret until BlizzCon. No shit. Sources also tell me that the general capital feel is Blizzard wants to return to a darker tone of the story and feel it's gotten a bit too timid. They really want to return to their roots with different things going on in the world that's not necessarily tied to one event or theme. A darker tone of the story. When was it that dark? What is this feeling that people want to go back to? I guess I kind of Plagueland's dark. Yeah, I don't know. The Maw was pretty dark. Yeah, is that what this person wants? He wants to go back to the Maw? Moving on. From Rowa. You guessed it. Okay. Dragonflight pre-patch 10.3 involves a blizzard blocking the southwest Azeroth. So that's Kalimdor. Night Squall Fleet taking players to new shores for duration of patch and build up to new expansion, January to October. Ages, yes. Okay, I gotta Google Translate here. It's gonna take a long time, but worry not. The release calendar will put minds at ease. Sets on big boats, fighting incoming enemies, events to avoid storms, and so on and so forth. Dotted patch cadence where ships arrive at new islands and then stop temporarily. You can port to and from boats, but ships are often active in sailing, a moving and kinetic environment, not like anything we've had. Wasn't keen on it myself, but initially it's good. It feels classic. What's the point of exploration if there's no journey? This is it. Okay, I'm not sold on this. You can port to and from boats, but ships are often active in sailing, moving kinetic environment. Yeah, but the thing is, unless we move these ships ourselves, and even if we do move these ships ourselves, that's like, hey guys, you guys enjoyed dragon riding. Now you get to enjoy being on a boat. Have fun, champion. Hit R to auto run or auto ship, whatever. And I'll see you in about half an hour. So what's the point of exploration if there's no journey? This is it. I mean, there's a certain fun to that. Ship exploration and all of that. But I also feel like, can't we pull off the same shit with dragon riding too? No pirates is true in a sense. He was referring to the Ybarra quote. It's true in a sense, same way that we've been to other continents, but without a massive swashbuckling presence. Night Squall is aptly named for being a night elf shaman, manipulating storms. We saw them in Dragonflight. He returns to see the New World Tree being a night elf. Not a pirate, but a conquistador-like kind of guy. Thematically, this conquistador vibe feels like an element that was missed in Classic, but would easily fit in. Dude, Classic is like, for some people, Classic is like just a login away. For me, Classic is about almost 20 years ago. Oh. Prepare to have your mind blown. The expansion is on a vast new continent on the other side of the globe. Incredible stuff. Hey. I like how he's trying to be so casual. Incredible stuff, You're gonna have your mind blown. We arrive at Kaz Algar and meet. Oh, good. Good. This is the first one that I've seen referencing the actual, leaks. Jeez. We arrive at Kazalgar and meet the Stormfront. We can access 4 zones, others are patch locked. World events are aimed at quelling the storm and exposing more of the map. It actually feels kind of like Warcraft 3, the dark shaded, undiscovered map segments. So, no dragon riding? Frost Dwarves, Frost Elementals, Vironoth central character, the Azor World Chiller 20th anniversary mount, BlizzCon elemental mount, etc. You get the gist. I love. Okay, so kind of a bummer. I get it. This came out on the 6th. We got the BlizzCon collection thing revealed just yesterday, where we find out the name of the mount. So unfortunately, he's this person's only able to call it the BlizzCon elemental mount. Darn. Now that I'm reading this, it's like, oh, this fell flat. Bummer. Storms are partying, the land is thawing. Frozen old god body revealed, needing its soul return to it. Twilight Hammer and Silverhand battle light versus dark. No new races or classes. We have a lot of customization quests for Kultirians, Mechanomes, Gnomes, Dwarves, Pandoran, Goblin, Vulpera, and that's it. Some of these are coming as trading post rotations. This made me queasy. Shaman for all, Paladin. So wait, the trading post rotations got me. Oh, no. Shaman and Paladin for all is what got this person queasy. One thing that has me curious is, when are they going to add like other kinds of items to the trading post, such as character customization, like eyebrows and hairstyles, things like that. I can see how people would be really pissed off over that, because it's like, oh, I want that hairstyle, but I can't get it until later. It's different from transmog, I think. I think people would react differently if there was character customization that was on a multi-month rotation. Also made me queasy, level cap raised to 80. Can't hit 80 straight off the bat. There's 73, 75, and 80 cap each patch. Doesn't hinder. Okay, this is weird. So this is fake, right? This is fake, but he's purposefully bringing up weird ideas, like a level cap being raised to 80, but you only go up a couple of levels during the patch. Why set up your own league to get mad? Like, if he's trying to be realistic here, that failed. That ship has sailed. Get it, ships in this league. But yeah, trying to come off with that sort of energy and trying to sound disgruntled by, oh man, this made me queasy. That doesn't sell too well here. It's not quite coming off great. You can build items on the way to 80 to be used then. Wait, you can build items on the way to 80, but you can't use them until later. You're functionally at 80 at 73, but the 80 cap is purely to help it feels like you're chipping away. Generally doesn't feel bad, just a different approach to leveling. Management asked, why bother blasting through 10 levels in 6 hours to get the meat and potatoes? So the new approach is, what's in a number? Invest time and effort to acquiring 75 and 80 cap items early on. I get it, but it seems like hoops and not an experiment for the 10th expansion. No, this is just a bad paragraph to put in. This is a pointless paragraph to put in. Leaker. I can't imagine Holly Longdale and John Haidt being like, yeah, dude, instead of max level content with reputation, quest gates, things like that to manage pacing, no, let's just use the number. This person is trying to make it sound like management is bad, saying what this just does not come off great. World of Warcraft Beyond the Storming Sea. Non-zero chance that I get fucked for posting this, but I'm way too excited to not tell people. Now that the books have been found on the PTR, I don't feel as bad talking about it. What we're going to do for 11L. Okay, Beyond the Storming Sea person. Gameplay stuff. Level cap raised to 75, only 5 levels. 3 additional spec talent points and 2 additional class talent points. Every class is getting a few new talent nodes and slightly expanded trees. Nothing major, just building on what we have. All 3 monk specs are getting revamped in 11.0. Monk fan and hunter specs are getting a relook, not a total revamp. Hunter fan. Augmentation is getting a pretty serious rework. The team is still committed to support as a viable playstyle, but they recognize that it has not worked out perfectly. I don't work on classes, but I know the folks who are working on augmentation evokers are passionate about the spec and really want to make it work. Shaman's support spec is in the works. Cool. It ties in thematically with the expansion. Shaman are being made available to all races. Working on making Druid available to more races will not be ready for 11.0. New renown tracks for some new factions you guys got to play with, of course. You guys, sexist, sheesh. New raid, 9 dungeons at launch, going to keep revamping older dungeons for Mythic Plus seasons. The dungeon team is taking a serious look at affixes, looking to experiment with more beneficial affixes as well as different negative ones. I think Sanguine is getting takeout back, but I don't work on that team, so I can't actually be sure. I mean, I think Sanguine is definitely one of those older affixes that feel like, oh, you know, they got to take this thing out. It feels punishing. We need more beneficial affixes. But I say this often, but I have a feeling that beneficial affixes are going to feel exactly the same as this whole idea of negative ones, because your behavior regarding affixes is always going to be the same, regardless of if it's like a kiss curse or like a positive affix. If you don't do the affix right, then you're doing it wrong, and if you're doing it wrong, then you're bad, and if you're bad, you don't get into groups. It's going to be communicated between players like the exact same way. So it's a careful thing that that the team needs to be aware of. Like an example of positive affixes or positive things would be like those covenant like those covenant based things that you saw from Shadowlands. You got to do those right. You don't do them right, you don't get the big benefit. You don't risk timing the key. It's bad. World design, lore, and exploration stuff. 6 Dragonflight sized zones will be broken up into 2 subcontinents. Oh man, I definitely prefer one continent as opposed to like a cool Tiras and Zandalar sort of thing. It's still going to be one landmass, but there are pretty important thematic differences between Kaz Algar and Thaz Dune. Ibarra's tweet about no pirates was a bit tongue-in-cheek. We definitely have pirates in this expansion, but it's not the focus. There will be a pirate island in 11.1. Plunder Isle is the dev name, but definitely not final. We'll be adding a new subcontinent every patch, similar to what we've done so far in Dragonflight. We really like that we can create new spaces for players to explore and look forward to on a fairly regular cadence. Not super related or anything, but a fun side note. Chris hates what was done to Yrel, and I think you're probably not going to see too much of her in the future. Not that he's against the whole "the light isn't always good, the good guy" kind of theme, but just that he felt Yrel was done a disservice to her character. Yrel fan, but hey, so am I. I still got her picture behind there. So the zone tech we use for Zerlite Caverns is super rad, and we're putting it in a few more places. It's also a massive pain in the ass to get it to work correctly. Thanks for sharing. Dragon Riding will be available within the first 2 or so hours of questing. It's still a bit TBD, but we'll see how the pacing of questing looks when we start getting folks into a public alpha. But in general, we like the pace set in Dragonflight. I mean, I thought that worked out pretty well too. You know, even if I think that's kind of a fair prediction to make. That at the start of the new expansion, we can't fly right away because maybe there's going to be a scenario. Maybe it's just like RP stuff that doesn't let us fly right away. But, after an intro to the world and the world building, then it'll start to open up and we can just fly around as we used to. Also, we're going to stop calling it dragon riding after Dragonflight and start talking about flying in terms of dynamic flying and static flying. Well, that sounds dumb. I think this dude is an old flying fan. Keep the roleplay name because it's a roleplay name. The current thought is that static flying will be available in 11.1.5 with a Pathfinder achievement, but it's intended to be basically something that you get upon logging in. Assuming you've been actively playing the game since launch, dynamic flying is what you'll be doing on launch. I do wonder though, what's going to happen with the old school flying in the next expansion. Now that we've experienced Dragonflight as it is, and we're going to have things open up with the old school flying in 10.2, are they going to keep up with that behavior? And how are players going to react? Like it's kind of become apparent like what players want from flying. And I know that this will derail some conversations, and I'm kind of talking shit about other players, but some of these players, they just want to not immerse into the game. They want that opportunity to pause the action, hover, and be able to just kind of have like this overwatched look, this overview of the land, and disconnect from it. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think that some folks are being a bit dishonest about. I feel so bad saying it like this, framing it like this. I think people are dishonest with what they want. Just make it clear. We're making the air in Avalorn more active. The World Dev team is doing some cool stuff with more dynamic weather events and air currents to make the flying experience less about getting as high as you can in the air and just gliding to your destination. It'll still be possible to do this, but we want to try and create a little more friction while you explore the environment during your leveling process. Dynamic flying talent trees are still a thing, but they're getting a redesign. You'll be able to do some light specialization, similar to the choice nodes currently in the tree, but with a few more options. These aren't permanent choices and can be changed whenever you want. So no examples of options though. Bummer. And a world revamp. Just a quick note, it's something we really want to do, but it's not a huge amount of effort. You'll start to see high-res assets popping up throughout the world throughout the end of Dragonflight and 11.0, but a full rebuild is a massive undertaking. That's all I'm going to share. There will be more at BlizzCon. I think this is a pretty good effort at someone trying to act like a dev and present information without really presenting information. I'd say this is one of the better fake leaks that we've seen in a while in terms of like presentation, the information that's given and not given. But there's also that hint of that sort of bias, that sort of slant as to where this person's coming from as a player, because again, this is fake. That happened to be the end of the episode. There are a few leaks that we ended up like skipping over because it turns out they were from like months and months ago, and those don't count. We're only talking about more recent stuff. So what was your favorite? This one actually happens to be one of my favorite ones. This one turned out to be pretty cool. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe for more stuff, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.